Hello my beautiful people, welcome to the next weekly general with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. With that said, I would like to bless all of my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So let's have a look, see what the week ahead has in store for us. So actually, before we go any further, this week when I went into my intuition, the word that I heard, what I actually saw was a spiral. And at the end of the spiral, there was a dragon head. And for me, dragons represent mystical energy, mystical power. They represent a million things besides as well. But they also represent protection. They represent the other realm. They represent magic. They represent the manifestation of spiritual energy. And what I also saw was the spiral, right? And for me, the spiral, whenever I see a spiral, I always think the spiral dance of life, and on the spiral dance of life goes. And the word that I kept hearing was continuity. And when you think about what continuity is, it's about the continuation of something. It's about the process or the experience of carrying something on, right? My advice to you this week based on that message is whatever it is that you've got started with, you already have momentum behind you now. This is the point that you need to keep going, whether this is your resolutions, whether this is something that you've just recently started. You've already initiated the energy that you need, which is always the biggest portion. If you ever seen The World's Strongest Man, you see these guys pulling freaking buses and all kinds of crazy, like, you know, lorries and all sorts. If you watch them, the most energy that they expend is that first moment to get that object moving. Once it's going, they can just continue because the momentum is already there. Continuity. This week you are being reminded that whatever you have started, whatever you have initiated, you must continue on. You've already done the hard part. You've got it started. You've got over the biggest hurdle or the biggest hump. Now you need to keep it going. This is the week where whatever energy you need, bring it up, call it up within yourself and pull all of your spiritual power into one so that you can continue on whatever the goals are, the things are that you're creating or doing at this moment in time. So the destiny card for the week ahead is the Temperance card. Spiritual power, the process of spiritual alchemy, alignment and balance are definitely words that come to mind with this, as Nico mentioned and reminded me of recently. But your Temperance card being the card of spiritual alchemy. What is alchemy? It's taking base metals, it's taking the crap and turning it into something infinitely lighter, brighter and beautiful. This is the process of the lotus flower. When you see the mud that the lotus blooms in, it's like the dirtiest, crappiest, shittiest water, and then on the top of the surface you see this amazing, beautiful, you know, 1,000-petaled flower, right? This beautiful bloom. The process of spiritual alchemy is taking all of that and understanding that some of it will always be what it is, but the energy of transmutation is what you are ultimately striving for, to rise above all of the experiences that you've had, to reach the pure and full potential of all that you can be. It's already written there in your DNA. The promise of everything that you are is already there. You just have to shape it. The same is true of spiritual power, of spiritual energy. So this week, whatever it is that you've started, whatever it is that you've given that initial push, now you just keep it going. And the beauty of this as well, one thing that I'm reminded of in the Paulo Coelho book, you know, The Alchemist, is when he talks about, there's one guy in specific who is watching the process so intently. And he hypothesizes that as the impurities are being burned away from the metal itself, so too are the impurities in the self being burned away. And sometimes the light of consciousness, the focus that you put on something on an internal level, whether it's in your mind, whether it's in your heart, whether it's in your spirit, by putting the focus on it, you start to understand it. And when you understand it, you can peel away the stuff that is no longer relevant. And this is how that lotus flower grows. Feed and nourish your spirit this week, and know that by utilizing that spiritual power and energy within you, your goals can continue on to whatever it is that you want them to be. All right, that was a bit of a rant there, wasn't it? Sorry about that. Your direction card. How best to utilize this energy? What is the thing that you need to know? The thing that you need to know is the High Priest. So this is akin to the Emperor card, but I mean, if you look at that, very different energy to the, not the Emperor, the Hierophant. Very different energy to the Hierophant, although the Hierophant, the word Hierophant means High Priest. If you see there, what he's actually doing is a ritual called drawing down the sun, right? And that is literally about taking solar energy and pouring it into water so that you can use it to be, you know, to bless things as a direction. This reminds you to tap yourself into natural universal law. It also reminds you that some rules in life are set for you and not by you. This is one thing as a young man, I have to put my hand up and say, like, it's not that I didn't understand it, I just didn't want it to be true. So I rallied against it as hard and as much as I could. And you know what? In the end, what did I learn? That is the truth of the situation. As a direction, the High Priest is really asking you to focus. It's really asking you to show up, to do what needs to be done. Now that you have the momentum, so this could be anything as simple as, you know what, I started that course. And now that I'm a few weeks into it, you know, I'll go next week and I'll catch up on that work. Will you though? With all of the pressures and the demands that life already throws at you, if you're, you know, skipping days here and there, like if it can't be helped, it can't be helped. You know, I'm not bashing anybody. I'm just highlighting the fact that sometimes we break our own momentum. And by doing so, then that's when the complaint sets in of, oh, you know, it's not happening for me. And well, why isn't it happening? Because you're not giving that same level of dedication that is required from you. The High Priestess or the Hierophant, the Hierophant is all about showing up. It's about doing things by the book. It's the rule of law, you know, more so. The Emperor is about enforcement of the law, right? Whereas the Hierophant represents the establishment that the law comes from. It's also a card of deep spiritual significance because it is a card of, you know, quote unquote religion, so to speak. So your direction this week is, where is your faith? What do you have faith in? Where do you draw that source of inner strength, courage and wisdom from? And ultimately, is it serving its purpose? If not, then maybe it's time to tweak it. Maybe it's time to do this whole thing of alchemy, to strip away the layers of things in your life that are not, or that are stifling this continuity. And sometimes there can be mitigating factors. As an example, you know, I'll use the strongman again. Sometimes they used to put, you know, like the little bumps in the road. So it's not like he's pulling, but there's, okay, now there's a bump. So I need to give it that extra little pull. But not as much as I would if I stopped it, right? If you stop at that point, you then have to gather all of that energy and momentum again and start once more. And that dissipates your power. Each time that you have to do it, it kind of weakens it because you're already depleted from the energy that you've already expanded. All right, so keep that in mind this week. The insight card for the week ahead. Ooh, okay. Is the Seven of Pentacles. If you're going to do it properly. If you're going to be in it for the long haul. The Seven of Pentacles really, for me, is a card of what you invest, how you invest it, and ultimately what you can get out of those investments if you are in it for the long term. If you are in it for the long haul, this is asking you to exercise patience. It's asking you to cultivate and grow your life path, your dreams, your goals. This is a card of, in fact, the word for this card, one of the words for this card, mind blown, is continuity, right? And that's exactly it. On the wider world stage, what does this look like? I could talk about a lot of things. What I will go to is some of the bigger religious establishments. This week it looks like there are going to be some challenges there. And when I say challenges, this is about the future of these things, the future of some of these institutions. I feel like you may very well see prominent figures talking about, you know, what the long term looks like for the religion that they're the head of. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to just be the Pope. This could be, you know, people that are underneath them. You know, it could be all kinds of religious leaders, let's say. Definitely going to be a prominent feature of this week. The stock market, I mean, already is at the moment, and we're going to see a lot more of this. There might be not questions, but there might be conversations about the viability of certain types of products that are offered. I feel like that might come under scrutiny, which means that there might be something going on where that's changing across the board as well. There's something about the stock market that looks like it's going to be reviewed and maybe deemed as obsolete this week. So that's going to be a really interesting one, because obviously that creates a lot of really big questions. But just keep that in mind. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an economist. I am not a religious person or leader in any way, shape or form. All I can comment on, sorry, that was really good. All I can comment on is the energy and the feel that I get from the cards, and obviously whatever their meanings are. So take whatever from this as you will. Whatever speaks to you, take it on board, utilize it for your own highest vibrational good. Whatever doesn't speak for you, take it with a pinch of salt and chuck it out. You know, there's nothing about any of my work. If you've been with me long enough, you know this. I always believe that everybody knows what's right for themselves. I consider myself just a guide. There's nothing guru, above, holier than thou about me. I'm just a normal guy who happens to have a gift for this kind of thing. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. If you haven't got your Mindset Magic seat, you can still get yours in the link in the description box below. Remember, this week Mercury enters shadow, I think on the 2nd of February. As of the 16th, Mercury will be retrograde. If you haven't got yours yet, the retrograde survival kit is currently £10 off. You can get yours in the link in the description box below. Take care, and I'll see you soon.